separate. To my right on screen is Sasquatch. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. My voice might not be, but I'm doing good.
That's all right. And to his right, we have Gone Crazy Back Soon. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually the one that's well this week.
I have no idea what you mean. I'm completely well.
The knot and flu's been passing around the Snugpod, apparently.
Yeah. It's actually why I'm sitting over here so far away, trying not to spread anything.
Yeah, gotta put the cat on the other side of the Snugpod.
Yeah. So, how's everything been going in game? Anything good, exciting, fun coming from the Jesters Festival?
I was telling Sasquatch a few minutes ago that I have almost all the style pages already from this event. I've been getting very interesting drops. I've had a couple boxes that have dropped where I've gotten 3 style pages. Sometimes one of them is a duplicate, and it'll be 2 of the same, but I've gotten quite a few boxes that are 3 style pages, or like 2 style pages, and something else that's good. So I don't know what's going on with my RNG, but I like it. Yeah, that's pretty much, in terms of Jesters, what's been going on with me.
Yeah, just been doing all the dailies, trying to get the style pages. Yeah, I've been getting like 2 style pages per box, or per, I guess, the stupendous boxes. And you get in the Cadwells as well as the new style. It's pretty much all I've been up to in game, other than running Coral Airy, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Have you ran that multiple times now?
No, just the once.
Okay. Yeah,
I was gonna do some randoms, but I figured I'd probably end up, if I ran random, I'd probably end up getting the other dungeon, which we haven't done yet, so held off on that.
I've mostly only been doing the just the Queen's Quest in Ardon, just to get my event tickets and stuff done. I haven't been feeling the best the last few days, so I've not really felt like being too involved. But yeah, so we did run one of the new dungeons the other night. We don't have Gwen here to discuss that with us.
No.
But what were your impressions?
I really liked it. I like that it felt very Somerset, because we don't really have, I mean, Cloud Rest is a trial there, but we don't have any dungeons there, right? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think that's the first one, so, yeah, it is. I liked the feeling of it overall. The aesthetics were really nice. I thought without getting spoilery, because there's probably still some people that haven't done them yet. I thought the boss fights were really fun, and I liked some of the visuals in the boss fights. There were also, for sure, some boss fights that on hard mode I feel like would be not so friendly. Not that's what I will say. Not so friendly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of things to not stand in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or to not stand within a little bit of the inside of the circle, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're either right on the edge or very outside.
Just get my toes on the edge of it, just to,
Just to have a little tickle from the lightning. just a little tickle.
A little pick me up,
Yeah, and just need an extra recharge sometimes, But yeah, I think they did a good job with it. Like I said, I liked how it looked, and I liked the mechanics, and I liked all of that stuff. What'd you guys think about the length?
Well, we did go through and find all three. It's three, right? Three secret bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that added a little bit to it. You don't have to do that. Um, but kind of going through and taking our time with it. I don't even remember, would it take us an hour or so to get through it?
Yeah, I think running in story mode, just like, you know, not being aggressively serious about it, it took a little less than an hour, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
wasn't too bad. It's no fungal grotto or anything, um, but
We
no,
also ran it on normal, though,
right?
so.
It's a good point.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody
Yeah.
jumping in on vet could probably expect it to be a little different, unless you've got a fully optimized group that knows what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Definitely liked it, and I'm excited for us to try the other one. Because we didn't have time. It was so late the one night. So
Right.
hopefully we'll be able to talk about the other new one on another episode in the future.
Yeah, and we'll have hopefully have Gwen with us that week. So I should be next week, and kind of get her take on be able to get her take on that too, and even if she wants to uh, touch back on this one. So yeah, the three hidden bosses were kind of a cool thing to, they've done that before. It's kind of a thing they started doing with some of the dungeon releases in the past, I guess, couple of years, adding little secret areas to look for, and you get different buffs throughout the dungeon when you defeat the bosses, and kind of a nice little cool little twist with that when you get to the end. We won't spoil that, but yeah, I definitely think it was a pretty cool dungeon to run through.
Yeah, and there were added lore elements too by doing those extra ones, because their dialogue mentioned some different things that happened within the storyline, so it kind of shows you almost why the dungeon is in Somerset, in some ways, because of who they are and what they do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's almost a second storyline going.
Yeah, almost was so tired I couldn't quite register. Definitely almost like a parallel storyline that's running alongside the other one that you're actually playing through. So it's pretty cool because the extra bosses in like Black Drake didn't, I mean, unless I just didn't pay attention to it, didn't seem like they had that.
So were you gonna say something, Sasquatch?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I hadn't really thought about that with Black Drake, but
Yeah, they're just almost there more so for the buffs and debuffs than for anything else.
yeah,
It's like a puzzle element rather than a story element.
Right.
So.
Well, I guess we can get into announcements, news, that kind of thing. I guess the big announcement, because it's such a limited time thing, Jester's Festival is running now through April 7th.
Yep.
We've kind of already touched on this a little bit about running the quests and stuff, but so outside of just what you're getting, what do you think about the Jester's Festival?
Well, I don't. This year, I've been doing some of the other quests that I haven't done as much because we've had Jester's Festival now for a few years. So I've done the main ones kind of over and over and over again. So I usually run through those like once. But the have you guys done the new quest about the band with the
Yes.
Daedra?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. And I don't know if it rotates every time you repeat it or if it rotates depending on where you pick it up, but have you noticed that it's different in the different like when you do it another time?
I haven't.
I've only done it the one time, so I don't have a comparison point.
I've done it either 2 or 3 times, and I don't want to spoil it for people who may not have done it, who are coming into the event late or anything like that. But for me, the 3 have been different when I do it each time, and it's also been that even the summoning is. I think this may not be true. I may be having a faulty brain memory on this one, but in one of them, I summoned in a different spot, even. So I thought that was pretty cool because I had 3 different Daedra the 2 times that I did it, which was pretty cool. And that NPC is pretty fun too. His dialogue. A lot of people are speculating. If he's like a representation of Sanguine or not. Or is he like a Sheo representation? Who is he? Who is he?
It would make sense to have old Uncle Sheo be part of the Jesters Festival, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Sanguine doesn't necessarily... they kind of make sense. Because there's dialogue that lends to the fact that like, oh, this particular NPC goes to a lot of parties or does a lot of, things like that. So, I have heard that it could be either, which is pretty cool. Little hints.
Yeah. I feel like if it was Sheo, though, he'd just show up himself.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. He's too busy playing around in Cyrodiil right now and eating cheese. He doesn't have time to come to the Jesters Festival.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you haven't done that quest yet and you're not familiar with how it ends, if you plan to take a screenshot, be ready because it's very quick.
It doesn't last for very long.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a screenshot of that. Nope, it's done.
All gone.
So
yeah. For sure. That one does go fast. And I did the pig one again, too, like the other one, because last year, I think there's an extra achievement where you have to get, like, an exorbitant amount of the apples. I have to look in the achievements list again, but I think there's one that's, like, I want to say it's, like, 12. That's probably not right. I'm probably wrong. I'm going to look right now. But I went and did that one again, and, like, intentionally did not burn through the boss just to see how long I could last in there. Like, I just did only light attacks and, like, ran away from it until all the apples could get collected because I was like, I had no idea this was even an achievement. And then it was over with. So it was like, okay, never mind. Let's see. Where is it?
I don't see an achievement for it.
Maybe it was just something last year. Maybe it's not that anymore.
They don't take achievements out, do they?
No.
Okay, maybe I'm just crazy. We know that. We know that about me. I made it up in my head. Well, you know what? Here's your thing, Zas. That would be a really weird achievement that you could do. You have to make people long burn the boss and get like a bazillion apples. Maybe I just forgot because I do remember not even knowing that there was the Apple Quest initially last year because those 2 quests are in that same platform. And I feel like maybe that's what happened. Is I went and killed it the first time and then went back and realized, oh, there's another quest here. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Who knows? It's after midnight.
Yeah.
11. 9.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah, that quest though, like you only need to get 1 apple, but it, has the quest marker for getting up to 4.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
And even that's a slow burn because they put out those apples so slow.
Oh my gosh! And you get so many of the quote-unquote princes that just run around and annoyingly, swipe at you with some weird conical AoE.
I haven't done that quest in, I guess, since last year. Was last year the first year they had that?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Well, I
it.
guess that was when I did it. I did it then, but I haven't done it again this year.
Yeah.
I need to get back over there and do that again.
Well, I obviously did it, but clearly remembered it incorrectly and or made something up about what I felt it should be.
Well,
So
it should be an achievement.
that would be pretty cool. Should be, could be, who knows? Who knows?
All right. Anything else on Jester's Festival?
Oh, no, I think just that it's been really active, which is great. Especially with everything that's been going on. Yikes.
I just heard myself. That was weird.
You did, I'm sorry. Yeah. I had it up for the hosting and it doubled back and the audio came on. I don't know why, so sorry about that for everybody who may have heard it delayed by 10 seconds.
All right. So the next thing we've got listed here is, do we want to do these in order that they're listed there, or?
Sure. I mean, we can kind of just do it with whatever comes up, I guess. But yeah.
So we've got login rewards for the month of April, which we briefly touched on a little bit last week. That they really kind of stepped up on those, in part due to some of the problems that were associated with the PC launch of Update 33. But some of this stuff is even above and beyond what they told us with XP scrolls, which they said that the first day of the month we were going to get 5 of the 150% XP scrolls, but there's another day we get 2 more, so that gives us a total of 7. And then go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think this is also because the anniversary comes towards the end of the month?
That could be.
Because the actual article says this month we're going all out for what is an action-packed 30 days.
Yeah.
So I feel like some of that is because of Jester, some of that is because the anniversary event typically kind of coincides or follows very shortly after. Like, this is the time of the year that it's easy for people to get burned out. So I feel like they're trying to thwart that a little bit by, giving some people some incentive, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the gold, decent bit of gold to be gained. What is that up to? 28,000 gold. Am I adding that up right?
Sure. I'm a wood elf. I don't do math.
Well,
That's 30,000.
Yeah. So day 8 you get 7,500. Day 15 gives you 10,000, and day 22 gives you 12,500.
yeah.
You get a mount.
Yeah. Day 10 we get this awesome white lion mount, which I think the lion mounts look really neat. We've had, and there haven't been that many of them. There's been like one in one set of crates, which I can't remember which set of crates it was, but there was one in there, and then there was like a dark black lion at one point with a full mane. But usually it's more of like a lioness or a cinch. Style mount. But this is an actual lion.
I think there's also a lion mount that's just like permanently available in the store.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's just kind of a basic looking lion. So I think it's one of the lesser expensive mounts that you can get, actually.
Yeah, it's one of the original ones that I remember from quite a while ago, because one of my original guilds, a bunch of us bought it to ride around on. Because of my job and where we work, we thought it was funny. Yeah, the Pride King Lion. He lives permanently in the store.
And there's one in the current crates right now too. The Palatine Scorch Cinch Lion.
Yeah, so they're going all in on the lions this month. But I think that's pretty cool because we don't have a whole lot of not a whole lot of options for that, you know, which is pretty neat. There's also a house guest that we're getting, which is awesome. He's like a Jester's themed house guest named Anglador. Is he? Do we know? Because, you know, some of our other house guests or NPCs that we've seen in the game, is he around anywhere during the Jester's Fest? I honestly haven't been paying attention to if we see him anywhere
I
else.
feel like I've seen him before, but he's a mime.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder if he
does.
juggles while he walks around.
It seems like he might by the photo, but then again, you know.
You can actually preview him.
Oh, cool.
So he has like a mime wall, rope pulling, and juggling knives.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
I think I did
Yeah.
preview him. I mean, like, he doesn't actually say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just, like, everything's a mime of some sort, or...
That's pretty fun, though. Very
Yeah.
different style house guest, you know?
It's actually got me thinking I might make a little jester's tent.
Well, we get enough of the, you know, enough of the Jester's
The
boxes
banners.
and banners
Yeah.
to make yourself a full-on house out of them.
No, well, I have a tent. I do actually have the jester's tent, which I think... Is that not a craftable item?
I think it is.
I
I
feel
think
like
you get the
craftable.
recipe from the event.
Yeah, I feel like I probably crafted one of those at one point just to see. And it was like, this doesn't fit with anything.
Yeah, it is pretty vivid colors.
So...
So,
with-
yeah, exciting stuff for the logins this month. I didn't mean to cut you off, Never. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Have either of you been using your scrolls already?
I see what you're trying to do there.
I'm setting you up. I'm setting you up. Have you been using your scrolls?
I have not.
The 150 XP scrolls? No, I haven't.
You haven't used the ones from this, but you've used some.
I have
I know
not
you-
been using 150 XP scrolls. I've been using the 50 XP scrolls.
Okay. But the
'Cause
question is, do you know what the battle music for Black Rose Prison sounds like?
No idea.
Maybe that's because your audio's turned down.
Where is that? Is that in Hrothgar?
Yep, totally. It's up there by Maelstrom. Yep, that's
Oh.
exactly where it is.
Oh, Maelstrom's the one in Hrothgar. Yeah. I have
Yeah.
no idea. I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
been in Black Rose Prison.
Yeah, that's a lie because you've been with us.
Have we done it?
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Khajiit, you get away with it this time. But
Yeah, you got to be a little more sneaky to get by the sneaky one.
I wasn't trying to be sneaky. No invisibility potion equipped. Oh goodness.
I will BRB.
Okay. Well, while you're gone, we can talk about some of the other stuff. Besides the cool stuff that's in the login rewards for April, the Crown Store showcase for April looks pretty darn awesome. I mean, we won't touch on everything, but there's some cool stuff in here. Did you get a chance to look at that at all, Sasquatch?
Briefly. Looks like we get a painting again.
Yeah, it's the Brass Fortress painting, that really
Which is
big,
awesome.
oversized one that shows the bridge with the city behind it. It's really cool looking. I love that. So that one is free for ESO Plus members from April 27th to May 30th. So I'm gonna guess that's closer to, like, anniversary event, which hasn't been announced, but kind of around that time, because I'm pretty sure that that's around the right time for that. This Harrowstorm bear looks cool. I like the bear mounts.
Yeah, that one is so cool.
Yeah,
So
we have another guildie that's all about some bear mounts.
Yeah. I don't own any really, but there are 2 bears in these. Well, this is the Crown Store bear, but there's a bear in the crates, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that I'm like kind of excited for. But this one, for the audio people, if you're not watching or haven't seen it on the actual ElderScrollsOnline.com, has like. It looks just like a Harrowstorm. So imagine like a bear kind of made out of rocks with this red inner glow and then kind of these wisps of like red lightning coming off of it and a little bit of, kind of misty stuff around it. It's pretty cool. Looks really, really neat. But it is a Crown Gem exclusive. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
So that's the part that hurts. Cool mount, Crown Gem exclusive. Womp womp. Let's see, what else? Spellbreaker, the shield, is returning back to the Crown Store just during the Anniversary Jubilee. It says, stay tuned for event details. They were not sneaky and didn't put the dates in there that they were coming, so we have no idea when the Anniversary Jubilee will be, but it does say that it's going to have an ESO Plus discount, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see, what else is in here fun? There's a couple skins. Just because it's a fellow podcast, we have to call it out. Arcaneer, this one's for you, buddy. Crown crafting motifs this month. The glass crafting motif. I think a small part of Arc might have just died. But another part of Lotus got very happy. So, for those of you who may not listen to Tales of Tamriel, it's another podcast that does ESO stuff. One of the longest, if not the longest running ESO podcast. They have a joke about the glass armor style because everybody thinks it's hideous.
Except Lotus.
Except for Lotus. Lotus runs around wearing full glass armor to the point that it's immortalized in a 3D figure that he has. So yeah, if you don't have that style, it's going to be in the Crown Store. It's kind of expensive actually if you buy it from Guild Traders because it's base game, right? Or close to it. It came from... Did this come out of Craglorn, I think, when Craglorn dropped, right? And one of the only ways that it's normally attainable in game is through RIP vouchers. So it's a pretty expensive style if you can find the actual full style in a store somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it is worth noting, as you said, though, that it is obtainable in game. So if it's something you want, don't have the actual cash to spend on it. You can always go grind gold and find or grind writs, and you can pick it up that way.
Yep, for sure. It's pretty easy probably to find somebody that will allow you to swap gold in game for writ tickets or whatever to pick up those actual pieces of armor style. You can buy it in individual pieces as well as the like big style page or whatever that has everything all at once. So, and then the Breton Hero armor is returning to the store. That's a big popular one because if you've ever seen the cinematics for Elder Scrolls Online, you have the 3 heroes, and the Breton Hero has this kind of cool black leather hooded armor with like a face mask piece. Looks really, really cool and kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily call it Dark Brotherhoody, but, it's kind of an intimidating rogue style outfit, if you will. So I love that that's coming back. I feel like that's coming back because he's the hero of the Daggerfall Covenant, and of course the next chapter is supposed to be DC heavy, so...
Yeah.
Pretty
And don't
cool.
they release these during the anniversary event every year, too?
They do, but I feel like they tend to release whichever one the content is focused on, like for either a longer period of time or first. I don't think they've been going like alphabetically or anything like that, But they most likely will have all three hit the store at some point during the anniversary event, because I think that's usually what happens. Because I remember one year I only bought the Elven armor, and then the following years I went back and bought the other stuff. There's
Personalities.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hadn't gotten down this far, but there's the Jester personality, which is returning, but there's also the let's try that again. Words are hard. Minstrel personality. This personality is going to be in the Crown Store for a limited time from April 13th to April 28th. And the photo has 3 minstrels, one playing a flute, one playing a lute, and one playing a drum, so kind of like the emotes that are in-game. But since it's an actual personality, I wonder what that's going to entail, like, for how your character is standing. Are they just going to permanently have a lute or a flute or a drum? That would be really weird if you were just running around, like, with a lute in your hands.
Well, don't the personalities affect the emotes?
Yeah, so that could be what it is, too, is it just changes which... when you're playing your instrument, it will look different and maybe sound different. That could be what it is, too. Maybe your normal, like, at-rest stance won't change too much, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I hope that it would be something silly, like you would just be running with a flute or a lute.
Yeah. I think a lot of times the personalities affect the idol, and so it probably might be like pulling out the lute and tuning it or something like that.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. We've also got Storm Atronach crates, which are going to return, just for a limited time, though. A short little stint from the end of April to first week in May. And then, of course, event tickets. The Cadwell's portal is also coming back in the furniture category. This is a fun furniture piece if you have a big house.
But you can't like preview it, right?
I don't recall.
It says it says Cadwell refuses to do preview performances.
Oh, well, there you go.
Aww.
Sad day. But you can probably find somebody that you know that has it. I've seen it in someone's house, and it's pretty fun. It's a big, like, Daedric portal. When you click on it, it summons him, and he walks out and talks to you. And sometimes he'll do, like, a little chit-chat. Sometimes he'll, like, juggle something or, he likes to sit around and play out-of-tune things.
Yes.
So that can all happen as well from that portal. I think the reason I didn't buy it last time is, if I remember correctly, it was fairly pricey. Because it was one of the first items, I think, that kind of did something like that.
Yeah, I would imagine if it's a big furnishing that's that interactive, it's probably every bit of like 4,000 to 5,000 crowns, if not more. Got a couple of music boxes there.
Yeah, there's a Jester's music box, Mad Harlequin's Reverie. That one I think we've had before. Then we've got the Daggerfall Covenant Sands of Alakir composition music box. And then we've got some aquatic stuff as well because of the new chapter. But the music box, since we were talking about those, there's this music box here that looks really, really neat. It's called Wonders of the Shoals, and it's like, almost imagine like a big conch shell, and then it has some coral and like almost a mini little aquarium snow globe looking thing. And do you notice that if you zoom in, there's like a helm? It's the DC helm from the not the DC helm, but it's like a helm that reminds me of like almost like the Nord. Like it's got a horn, one horn maybe. I don't know. It's hard to see, but because it's kind of encrusted over. But it's a really neat little music box. It looks like the one end of the shell is going to turn, perhaps, when it's active.
So what is the Wonders of the Shoals song? That's not the new title theme, is it?
No, I don't believe so. I have a feeling it's just going to be like a random song that, I mean, maybe it will be part of the new chapter, but I don't believe that we currently have any soundtrack songs with that title, because I'm a pretty big ESO soundtrack junkie, and I have not heard of one called Wonders of the Shoals. So I guess we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be available April 13th through April 21st.
Speaking of that new title theme, though, it's pretty nice.
It's awesome.
So good.
It's so good.
Imagine if ESO adopted Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's great. I love that it has like an upbeat section and then a slower section, and just really good harkening back to some of the other themes as well, and the main ESO theme, which is cool. There's one more music box, which is the really neat one that they've had out previously as well. It says it's called Enigmas of the Elder Way, but it's like a floating blue. I think this one's a Sigic. It's supposed to be like a Sigic music box. So it's got like a triangular base with legs, and then it's like this floating blue orb kind of on top, is what I'll call it. Almost like a bubble. And if I remember correctly, that was quite beautiful when it was active. So, pretty cool. Lots of ocean-themed stuff to go along with Seavale Spire. Have you previewed this house at all, Sasquatch, on anything? Like, have you looked anything up since you love housing?
No. I saw the preview they did when they did the big reveal, but I haven't seen anything since.
Yeah, this one's... I'm very excited to see this one in person. It's got, like, the picture has a sunken ship and all this coral, and it's like you're underwater. It's so cool.
Do we know where that one's located?
No.
I can't remember if they said.
I don't think they said, but it has to be somewhere accessible because it says from April 13th to April 28th. Furnished and unfurnished versions will be available. So...
Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to be off of
Somerset. That's what I would guess too. It's looking at the photo that they have here, it looks almost like it's underneath somewhere with like a walled city or somewhere with a wall, I guess. Which they could do that on an island off of Somerset that we just haven't had access to, I suppose. But you can definitely see it's got that kind of aesthetic of like you're looking up and can see a town or a walled city above you, above the water. Pretty cool. Yeah, and then the Grand Sigic Villa, which was free quite a long time ago for a Somerset event that we had, but a lot of people have been asking for it to return because they missed out on that or they wanted to purchase it because it is one of the larger, more open homes in the game. It looks like that's going to be returning to the Crown Store too.
Yeah, that place is huge.
It's massive. That's my main home on PlayStation, and it is literally a hodgepodge of random decorated stuff, and it's mostly filled with trees.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Bosmer, so what else would I put in a giant giant home trees and more trees. There's a house guest. There is a nightmare stick horse. The Stitched Well Stickwar that we talked about last week. That one's pretty fun.
Got a picture of it now.
Yeah, it's exactly as we thought. It is the Stickwar mount with a pot on its head. So fun. So fun. And then Egg Hunter's Horse, because Easter is coming. Loads of different other mounts. And then we have, of course, the pet that we talked about that we wanted to see what it was going to look like. That's the Catwell pet. Bless him. He's a naked cat with a pot on his head and crossed eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's going to be awesome. And then the other pet that they have featured is the Saber Cat Cub. So he's been in the store before, I think, because he's a Rothgar pet, it looks like. But yeah, that's the Crown Store showcase. Yeah, we didn't touch on everything, but kind of just the main big ones, I would say. So there you go.
And there you have it.
Yep. There are new crates out right now, too.
I'm sorry, did you just become a pirate?
There are new crates out.
Arr.
There are crates out for these new chapter that's coming out.
This new pirate themed.
Yeah, it's so funny because everybody's like, "Ooh, it's so piratey," and the theme is kind of piratey. But then they're like, "It's going to be knights, and it's based on Europe." It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very stoked to see how they combine all of that together. But I think it's pretty cool because people have been talking about Malmer and like wanting to be able to have their characters look more piratey or more seafaring as a different aesthetic, and these crates definitely pull that off this month. We talked about them a little bit on the last show, but now that we've actually seen what's in them, like full blown, I hate to say it, but I might spend some crowns on them. Because I'm kind of excited. Not so much necessarily personally about the mounts, but some of the other stuff for myself personally. Did either of you guys get to peek at these or preview them at all? Is there anything that you want to point out or anything that you really, really like in them?
Well, we were talking about it the other night. The sloshy sounds of the horse, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one horse that has like fish swimming around it is pretty cool.
Yeah, when that thing walks around, it's like it's walking through a foot of water.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen several people running around with it already, so it just kind of sloshes all over the place.
That's pretty fun. I like the Nereid skin. I mean, obviously, I feel like for me personally, it would look very odd on my Bosmer, but I think on Argonians and on some other characters, it looks pretty darn cool. And then there's the fun, like, Nereid hat, too, that goes with it, which literally reminds me of, like, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, it's got these little, like, fins on the side, and it looks like seaweed for hair. It's really interesting and very unique compared to what we've had in the store before. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then I like a lot of the, well, let me look in here really quick and open it up.
The two-handed axe style is pretty cool. It's doesn't seem like it would be. I mean, it looks like something that mermen would use. You know, you can, like
mermen.
I picture like Ariel's dad's army running around with these things or something.
King Triton's army.
Yeah. But looks pretty cool. I'm not sure how functional it would be being made of reef or whatever. I think it would probably just break. But
coral's pretty hard when it's petrified, says the person who has lived in South Florida. You never know. Could be pretty cool. looking through the crates right now, like previewing them again, the aquariums that are in them are really neat. And there's some pretty cool body markings as well. Oh, this is what I was going to talk about. I got back to it. There's the Keptu style and the Keptu mount and cub, bear cub that are in here. These are pretty cool. They are like a Hircine mount. The lore behind the bear, if you look at it, is it says, long ago during the annual Keptu hunt, Tula the Skull Cleaver and their bear folk rose above the others in the amount of prey they killed for the shared larder. In celebration, Falk received these markings of Hircine's favor. So it's a bear, but it has almost... it reminds me of the load screen. You know the Ouroboros at the load screen, how it's got kind of almost a Celtic knot vibe? Or like a very... like, well, for lack of better words, a Celtic knot appearance to it in certain sections. This bear has that on it, and it looks pretty cool. I think if I scroll further down, there's also an actual style. Yeah, there are. They have like Sabaton's pauldron's helm, all of that. The helm and stuff looks a little weird to me, but it's pretty different. I like too that, where is it? The greaves. Yeah, the greaves are they mimic the markings on the bear as well, and they're pretty ornate looking. Like, not ornate in the fact that they have a lot of like metal or beading or anything on them like that. They're ornate in the fact that they have a lot of pattern. So like a lot of that very druidic or Celtic style knotwork and like leather work on them. They look pretty cool. I think they're pretty different than other styles that we've had before. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for those. It's like we finally got to see what was actually inside of them rather than just speculating, because last week we talked about, you know, a couple of the things that they mentioned, but we hadn't actually seen what was in them completely. So a lot of really cool mounts, a lot of really cool furnishing pieces, some new style pages, and then there's a couple emotes as well. There's a crab pinch emote, there's a feeding a bird emote, and some extra pets that we haven't seen in a while or haven't seen before. Different, you know, skins on them. And there's also a really cool pond. So for anybody that's really into housing, there's this like botanical waterfall pond, which is pretty cool. I've been thinking about dropping some of the crown gems just on buying like individual pieces from the crates, you know how you can do that, like the pond and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Will those also be available with Endeavors? A lot of times some of that stuff
check.
gets...
Let me look.
Yes.
Well, there you go. So that gives you 3 different ways to basically get those. You can either get it with Seals of Endeavor, you can get it by purchasing the crown crates themselves in whatever amounts you want, the 1, 4, or 15. Or if you have crown gems built up from previous crates, or if you're crazy like me and always have Twitch open when you're at work or something to get those drops, and you have an exorbitant amount of stuff that you've just built up from that, you could use some of those too. So, gives you 3 different ways to acquire it. That's pretty nice.
Options.
Yeah, rather than just dropping cash on it. Because not everybody has that. So, pretty cool.
Yep.
Anything else about the Sunken Trove crown crates, or do you want to move on to...
I think we've sank all the time into it we need to.
He may not feel good, but he's still got his dad jokes.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Yeah, so the next thing we've got is, last week we talked about the developer deep dive into how they create bosses and boss encounters, and they've done a part 2 of this, and I think they've said that there's going to be one more.
Yep, the last one's going to cover like actual boss. What did it say? I think it said the last one is going to talk about balancing power and mechanics.
Mm.
So that'll be cool.
So we've got in the article they're talking with Mike Finnegan and Shane Slamma Jamma. Shane. We'll call him Shane. That one's easy. Shane and Mike. So they asked them some different questions about how they go about creating the bosses. And first question was, where does the dev look for inspiration when designing a boss's abilities and mechanics? They said they generally kind of attack that from a few different angles. The background of the boss, what's their story, what kind of monster it is. Go through the catalog of stuff they've done already and see, with that type of monster, so that there's some consistency. But then they also try to throw in some unique things. That way you're not just fighting basically the same thing in a new place. And then they create the environment that it's going to work in, and how that boss is going to move around, which I think we talked about that some last week too. But how the boss moves around in the space, which plays into his mechanics.
Mm-hmm. I like that in this question they answered by talking about how they look at how the monster was previously presented. So like if, for example, the monster is a big troll, they refer to how trolls react throughout the rest of ESO.
Right.
And then, that way they're not building mechanics that like don't make sense. Because if you've played Maelstrom, the trolls like do this big slam into the ground that rolls, like almost like an earthquake style thing towards you. So to have a troll do something, I don't know, what would be something really weird for a troll to
start throwing fireballs at you?
Yeah, to throw fireballs at you, or to like lightning at you or something, would be odd unless they had the ability to be able to back it up with the story or with the mechanic. It doesn't make sense to just have that be a mechanic with no reason or no foundation for it. So I think that's fun that they look through and go back and say like, okay, what have these style monsters done before? Rather than just being like, well, this is a troll and now it's going to have lightning.
Yeah.
Because, maybe it is a troll with lightning, but there's got to be a reason for it to have lightning, since all other trolls don't have lightning.
Right.
So that's...
This particular troll has elevated learning.
Right. I like that they addressed that sort of angle on how they look at the content.
Their next question was, what kind of challenges does a designer encounter when working on a new boss? They both kind of give different answers here. Shane says it can be enticing to focus too much on mechanics themselves and instead of trying to take a holistic approach by using the storytelling, design all kinds of crazy cool abilities, but if the designer gets too hung up on individual mechanics, that can be a trap.
See? Troll with lightning.
So they just kind of want to make sure that they continue telling the story as the combat plays out. And then Mike goes on to say, through review and iteration, they put it together and they have people to play it. They say, okay, this works, but we need to do something else, because they can get so into the one mechanic that they've introduced or whatever that they have to remind themselves, we don't build an encounter for just one moment. Then it's like you want to, oh, when the boss hits 50%, it does this really cool thing, and that's it. And other than that, you're just fighting a giant spider. Um,
Boring.
so, yeah.
True.
Then they ask, do you design a new boss with the core roles in mind, DPS, tanks, and heals? I won't read all of that, but they say that they have people play test, playing all the different roles, and they'll ask them, did it feel like you were challenged? Did the tank feel like they were ever threatened? Did they feel like basically, did this feel too easy? Did you feel necessary? 'Cause there's a lot of groups for certain content, even on hard modes and stuff. Like they don't run healers, or they may not run a tank, because they'll know the encounters well enough that they can either rely on self heals and skip a healer, or they can burn bosses quick enough that they don't have to worry about having a tank to taunt and debuff and everything else. They just bring in another DPS. So it sounds like they really try to minimize how much that happens by kind of play testing and getting feedback from people, like, hey, when you were tanking, did you feel like you were needed, or did it kind of feel like, oh, I'm just sort of here? And for healers, did it were you challenged to keep everybody alive and that kind of thing?
I feel like this has been focused now more than ever. And then the last couple years to me, with the content that has dropped, has felt like you can see the difference that they are taking this into account.
Right.
The original dungeons, granted, that was different with vet ranks and things changed when there was CP and all of that stuff. But even some of the early DLCs, people would just cheese through them, like you said, with not three healers. That would be a fun time. A tank and 3 DPS, or no tank and 3 DPS and a healer, or all of those different combinations that you can come up with. So I like that they're taking into account player role now more than ever. I mean, obviously, like you said, if there's super high tier players, they're gonna be able to get through probably a lot of the content without a group that's balanced the quote unquote proper way. But I do like that they're thinking about that when they build the mechanics. Like, this AoE is gonna kill these people if they're standing in it and they don't have a healer, or there's nowhere to go to get out of this AoE, so the healer is gonna have to heal them through it and heal everybody through it, through this mechanic, because it's continuous for 5 seconds or whatever. I think that's nice that they're paying attention to that, because for a while so many healers did feel like, well, what's the point in making a healer, or what's the point in queuing for something as a healer when nobody wants healers in group? Because there was a little bit where it felt a little bit that way, and I felt truly bad for those players that mained heals and tanks during that time. So it's nice that they're taking it into account, and it's nice that they're paying attention to the community for that, because that truly is them listening to feedback from the community.
Yeah, if your players aren't enjoying the game, you're not going to have a game for long.
Well, and if you don't have anybody with a dungeon finder, if you don't have anybody queuing, if you don't have people for those roles, people are going to queue into the wrong roles.
Right.
To make it go faster. And that's when you have the problems that you encounter with fake tanks or fake healers or, whatever. And part of keeping that from happening is making it so that you need one. So it's a good approach to keeping it balanced in that way.
And the next question, how do you approach designing a boss with multiple difficulties in mind? You guys read over this?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, the way that he refers to how many plates are we asking players to spin?
Yeah.
He said
how can it be? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, he says, we also pay attention to things like attention economy. How many plates are we asking players to spend? And, it can, if you get too carried away with that stuff, it can be pretty overwhelming and can make it less likely people want to even attempt to do these, especially the higher difficulties.
And I think the new mode of also making each individual and maybe the following one we can do on hard mode, right? So it gives you more freedom to do what you want with your group, which is nice. But I also think that they've gotten a lot better at keeping well, better in some instances and not in others. It truly does depend on the dungeon. But having the normal feel like, okay, that gave me the knowledge that I need for the vet. Because there are vet hard modes where you're like, where did that come from? And what mechanic is that? Why was that not in the normal one at all? So I do think it depends on the DLC, but at the same time, I do feel like they're getting better at having the mechanics be the same, but just more difficult, or the same, but then adding another piece to it. Like, now there's an extra mechanic, but it's not so overwhelming that it doesn't make you want to play.
Yeah, and they usually do have some other mechanic that, for example, and this is kind of a neat thing that they do sometimes, is that, and I don't know if they've done this as much recently, but sometimes hard modes, they're not even necessarily a difficulty bump, but it's just a challenge to complete while you're doing, the normal run. Or I say normal, it has to be vet, but like, for example, Banished Cells 2, hard mode on that, you don't activate a scroll. You just have to allow 3 or more Daedroth to be alive while you're doing that. The more of those things that are in the environment, the harder that fight gets. So it's not even about bumping the boss's health up, or because they touched on the numbers, the how hard the enemies hit and how much health they have, that kind of stuff. Does play into the different difficulties, but they did, kind of, as you were saying, discuss that they do want it to feel like once you've done it, you have that sense of progression. You've done the normal mode. Now you feel like, okay, I can try to go up and maybe do this on vet. Okay, well, now I've done it on vet. I should be able to, to try hard modes now. But that they don't want to have so many mechanics only limited to those harder encounters that the majority of players don't see them.
Yep, true.
Yeah.
I think that ties a lot into the next question too, where it says, is it deliberate that in dungeons or trials, early bosses are less complicated than end bosses? And they talk about how they ideally want it to be a progression where something might be a little less complicated, and then they add another layer, and then they add a third and final layer with another boss. But I personally do feel like there are some dungeons where the second to last boss is worse than the final boss.
Yes.
Like, there are a few where when you get to the second to last one, you're like, whew, that was awful. Wow, okay, time to finish. And then, like, the last boss is like, no problem. And maybe that's a mechanics thing, or, a story-driven piece. But But I do find that interesting since they're talking so much here about like stepping up each individual boss or a progression through the dungeon itself. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I know when we were going through the dungeons, we experienced that a lot with base game dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, our group hasn't gone to the vet DLC dungeons yet. In, you know, working through the dungeons. And so I'm curious what that'll look like as we, you know, start working through the older and into the newer DLC dungeons. But yeah, I think it was a lot of the base game ones that we experienced that.
Yeah, I think I recall there being a dungeon or two that we would get to the second to last boss or whatever, maybe even one prior to that, and give us some trouble, and then we get to the last boss and it's like, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the ones that sticks out to me, and I will never forget it. And part of it was just that I was under leveled for the situation, but there was a night that I was running with over on PC, and it was like when I had first gotten my account, and I was running with Cash and Max, and forgive me, but I cannot remember who the third member was, but it was somebody that I had only just met from Lore Seekers, and we were in. Oh gosh, what is the one dungeon that came out with Elsewhere that has the boxes with the fire? You know where I'm talking about, where you have to light attack the boxes?
Yeah.
And it moves them across. Is that Moongrave Fane?
It might be.
Maybe?
Don't remember.
Yeah. All I know is that, like...
Is it Fanglair? No.
Maybe it's not Fanglair.
Anyway, no.
Anyway, one of those dungeons that came out around the time of Elsewhere. And... we were on that box boss, because it was vet, I mean, granted, I will be 100% honest, we were running it with 3 DPS, one of which was me, and I was, like, just at CP. So I had, like, no points or no shields, like, nothing to help, with no healer. But it was because we were just trying to do the dailies very, very quickly, which backfired on us a little bit there. But, we were stuck in there at that box boss. And we finally passed it, and we got to the one that was after that. And we spent almost 2 hours on the boss that was after that one. And it's like that blood boss where it makes the, like, coagulate thing, and then, you know, that mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember Max saying, if we could just pass this one, we'd be okay. But, like, it was awful, and we finally called it, and it sucked because we were on the second to last boss, and we were all so frustrated because we had been in there so long. We blew through all the other vet stuff we had done that night, but that particular dungeon just like ate us up and chewed us and spit us out. It was so bad. But that kind of reminds me of some of the stuff in this article that they're talking about in the layering, and what I just mentioned about the, you know, sometimes one boss feels harder than the following boss, because the box boss took us forever, then the one after that wasn't so bad, but then the third one was like, whoa, forget it. So we just gave up. I think it was like 4:30 in the morning when I finally went to sleep, which was awful. So it's a memory I will never forget. I actually have not run that dungeon since, and it's still sitting in my journal, like almost as a, I don't know, just a reminder to me. I can't bring myself to abandon it because there's only one boss left. But I'm like, I can't do it. It was bad. Bad. So.
That brings us to the end of that article. Did y'all have anything else on that?
No, the only other thing that I wanted to ask, and I want to ask Gwen too at some point, but what right now, since we're talking about this as kind of a topic, what's your favorite dungeon in-game so far that you've played? Or what's your favorite, like, boss fight that you've done that you remember? That's a loaded question, I know.
Oh, boy.
I feel like I have to open the dungeon list to look.
I can't remember so many of them by name.
I'm gonna open Activity Finder.
You know what? I can't think of the name of it, but the one with the grappling hook.
Oh, that would be. Is that? That's not Depths of Malatar, right?
No.
That is. Oh gosh,
You
why
have
can't I think of that?
the boss fight. I think it's like first or second boss, but you have to use the grappling hook to get to the outside when it poisons the area.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the one where one of us grapple hooked and it like glitched out and we just completely fell off. Unhallowed Grave? Is that it? No. Maybe?
No.
I'm not sure.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I as far as which boss fight, to be honest, I can't put my finger on a favorite boss fight at the moment. But that that dungeon I think had some of the more fun mechanics just because of essentially using like some platforming stuff to get through um, different parts of it and finding the secret areas um, and things like that. So
Yeah.
just made it a little more interesting than your standard run down this hall to this room to the next hall to the next room. You know, it kind of gave you some different traversal mechanics and um, so that kind of stuff was fun.
Yeah, and didn't that one have more like we had to like kind of almost sneak between rocks to get through?
Yeah, find some of the secret stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it was like a hidden hallway, like through the rocks, versus just like oh, we hid this door. You gotta click on. It's like actually had to find the right crack in the rock to
Right.
sneak through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the hidden boss or the one that leaps around that you have to kill before it gets away. That you have to use the grappling hook. You have to jump off and grapple and swing over and
Yeah.
chase it down
it's
like that.
brutal.
It was like
Yeah.
if you miss time that jump, or don't get your cursor aimed where you need to use your grappling hook. It was the first time we tried to do it. I didn't even know where to go.
Yeah, I remember all of us like grappling hook around the room like idiots trying to figure out where we were going, just
Yeah.
completely lost, falling off platforms.
But then once we figured out what we were supposed to do, it was like, oh, okay, we've got to swing back and forth. When the boss moves, to burn it down quick enough. It wasn't that bad, but it was fun. It made movement part of the fight more than any other dungeon I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time movement is just dodge roll, to get out of AoEs or whatever. But that actually used a little bit of quick timing and kind of jumping around. So it's, that one might possibly be my favorite overall dungeon just because of that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was thinking about, I think it's Black Drake Villa, the one with the raised ring around the outside and the.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember just having a lot of fun doing that when that came out. Just using the jets to shoot up and getting into that one little area and all the extra ads that come in, and it's like just being really particular about where you're standing in a small space, and then most people just wondering what the heck's going on with people jetting up into the air.
So true. So true. Very, very true.
March of
Do you have a favorite?
Sacrifices is one of the prettier dungeons.
Yes, it is one of them.
I'm going through the
That
list right
and
now.
that and Lair of Marsalok, I feel like, are both quite
yeah.
beautiful. Lair of Marsalok is long, though. Wow, is it
Yeah.
long?
I
So much
love
running.
Lore of Marsalok, but
So
it
much
is
running.
so long.
Yeah. One of my most memorable ones, and you're gonna laugh, but it's early on in game, is Celine's Web. And the reason that I like it so much is because I have really good memories of first starting the game, and that dungeon being absolutely terrifying when the leveling and things were different because this was pre-1 Tamriel, I think. I'm pretty sure we had Celine's Web pre-1 Tamriel. But I will never forget myself and my other 3 friends who I worked with. We went in there, and that first, the boss fight with her, where you run out and you're on the webs at first, and then everything breaks and you fall down, that was a complete shock for all of us the first time it happened. Because we're like, oh yes, we won! Oh no, we did not. So I remember that being a wake-up call. And then dying a lot after that, because of how everything was scaled back then. So that one's, like, almost sentimental for me in how the fight is done. I like that one a lot. I do really like Black Drake Villa as well. I think it just has a lot of very memorable, interesting boss fights in there. That last one for that hidden one, and then also the final fight with the dude with the ring, like you said, is really cool. Where was the other one that I was just looking at a second ago? I'm going back through the list too myself.
One dungeon I really like, not so much for mechanics, but just how it plays out, is Tempest Island.
Yeah.
Just how you start on the beach and you're just working your way up to the top of the mountain.
And you can see it the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is super.
And then you can also, yes, looking down as you're going up as well.
Yeah.
Tempest Island's not the one with the possessed captain or whatever, right? You start at where you like go up on the ships. What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of oh gosh, hold on, I'm looking. No, it's not Tempest. It is... I'm looking at these in alphabetical order, so it's messing with my brain. Maybe it is Tempest Island.
Is that Blackheart Haven, maybe?
Blackheart Haven. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
That's the one where you like run through the ships and then at the end you run down to the beach.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the one. Another one that has a stupid memory for me. I got punted by Steel Toe, or whatever the heck that one boss's name is that's up on that platform. I got punted through the wall in there once and trapped in the wall mid-run with some friends. And the only way that I could escape was to somehow, I think I ended up like mounting, because at the time you could, or maybe it was a glitch, I don't know, but I like ended up mounting and jumping back to the platform from inside the wall. So weird, but true.
You remember that time that I had was it with you guys that I tried to sit down in a dungeon and got stuck?
Yep, that was in Castle Thorn.
And that was where?
I think it was in Castle Thorn.
I was thinking it was an early game. Like a base game dungeon. I don't know.
Like,
but,
Vaults of Madness?
That was a bug for a while. I had that happen a couple times in Delves.
Yeah, that was the whole reason that they added that get me unstuck feature, right?
They had that before, but I don't think it was used or known as well.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah, I remember I was sitting there. I sat down. I don't even think I meant to. I think I was trying to, like, I don't know, get some berries out of a crate or something, and accidentally clicked on a seat. Maybe I did it intentionally, but and I was like, I can't move. Why can't I get up?
Yep.
This is dumb. What a dumb thing to happen.
One last one for me that I would love to talk about really quick is, I know it makes everybody crazy, but White Gold Tower. I think that dungeon looks awesome. Yes, it's in the Imperial City and, you know, all of that stuff with Daedra and kind of those weird grays and blues and broken stuff, but when you get up higher or further into the dungeon and you start to get some of those scenes that people probably don't really think to look in, but there's a couple of the fights that when you finish, if you just stand and look up, the amount of detailing that they've put into the sky and into things flying by, like big Daedra and lightning and all of that stuff, it looks so cool. Granted, dying in that lightning AoE at the end is not super fun, but it's I feel like one of those dungeons that's kind of underloved in certain aspects, because if you stop and really look at the way that it's designed, it's actually pretty I guess is the best way to put it. I actually have one of the screenshots that I took in there of the tower as the background on my watch. It's like one of the things that rotates through, and I'm always like, I can't believe I never stopped and looked at that way before. I guess it's because you just get in there and you just roll through with groups, but when we do our lore runs, you actually have time to stop and look at that stuff. So I feel like I appreciate it a lot more, that particular dungeon, than I did the first few times I went through it. So.
Yeah, and you said something that for all dungeons, it's like stop and look up.
Oh man!
It's almost always a great view when you look up in a dungeon.
Yeah.
Oh, ESO definitely has some very good skyboxes, and even like just inside of caverns and things, and when you look up at the ceiling or the top of the cave, and
Castle Thorn. Yeah. Castle Thorn in the last room. If you stop and look up at the ceiling in there, the amount of stuff that they have put in the ceiling in that last boss room is incredible. I actually won a screenshot contest with a screenshot that I took in there the first time we ran through it, because of what was in the ceiling. And people are like, where is this? It's in Castle Thorn. They're like, what? Where? That's the last room. Just stop and stand in the middle and look up. Nobody ever thinks to look up.
Maybe that's an idea for a screenshot contest.
A lot of detail. Like, the screenshot contest can be stop and look up.
Yep.
Well, whoever can get closest to matching the one that you post.
No, that's true. That's true.
I got to figure out where it is.
That's right.
And then they got to
Maybe that'll come in the future. Hey, speaking of screenshot contests, for the PlayStation Guild, we have one currently going on right now.
We do?
Yep. It just started today. It is going to run through the 10th, where you can post in the Discord. So if you're a lore seeker on PlayStation and you're in our Discord, feel free to submit a screenshot. The theme is Jester's Festival. Feel free to interpret that however you want. You can, show us a costume. You can show us a location. You can show us whatever else. Picture of your sovereign sow somewhere. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But that is going to be there. Prize to be determined for that one. But there's
57 Khajiit crafting motifs.
Oh my! I think I put gold or maybe some cheese. I think is what I actually posted on the Discord. But there will be something. I just have to go through and kind of take a tally of what we've got and look at some stuff in the guild link and whatnot. But yeah, so there will be a prize for that. So please, if you're in the guild and you like doing screenshots, go ahead and join us for that. And there's one more contest too. Do we want to talk about this now, or do we want to wait until Gwen is back next week?
When are you going to start it?
We didn't talk about it.
So if you want to wait, we can.
Okay. Well, stay tuned. Then we'll do a little teaser. Someone has donated a really awesome prize for us to be able to utilize on PlayStation. And basically what I'll say is we are broadcasting from something that might help you with said contest. And that's all I'll say about that. For now.
You've said too much!
I know I did. But you know what? I also want to give people time to, you know what I'm saying, if they need to acquire said thing, then perhaps it will give them time to get some gold or things like that from the event or whatnot to build up whatever they need to do for that. So,
yep.
but more to come on that one.
Yep.
So,
So you'll have to come back next week.
Yeah, you'll have to come back next week and find out what it is that I'm talking about. Although I'm sure you probably already know.
I know. It's in my show notes.
Yeah, you know. But they don't know, maybe. Or maybe they do. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, guys, do you have anything else?
No.
Nope.
I mean, Gwen's not here, but Abner is.
Yeah, she does. She has added Abner to the Snugpod. He's at our, or to your far right if you're watching. And you wanna give us one play of that real quick?
I was gonna say, should we see if he has any words of wisdom for us?
Yeah, let's hear some wisdom from Abner.
Should I ask him a question about the show? Like, how do you feel about being on the show, Abner?
You are listening to the wit and wisdom of Abner Tharn, battle mage and advisor to emperors. I don't pay much attention to the gods, and as far as I can tell, they don't care all that much about me. Works out
Okay,
fine.
well, our show wasn't on orcs, but maybe we have to have you back when we do a show on orcs.
Wouldn't want you to strain anything.
I'm not sure. I think he was just calling us gods. Did I hear that right? He doesn't care too much.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
He's just an inanimate object that talks. So who knows?
Well,
all right, guys. That's another one in the books. This has been episode 6+2, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
So we got another one in the books, I guess. If you are watching, but would find it more convenient to listen, we do post these episodes in podcast form. You can find them on Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, probably a few others out there as well. So you can check us out there. And if you are listening and you actually would like to hang out with us live and kind of see what we're doing in the Snugpod, then you can catch us on twitch.tv/snugpodcast, or you can find us by just searching Snugpod Cast on YouTube. We're in both places. And where else can they find us?
Well, if they'd like to join our guild, we do have a guild on PlayStation. We are part of the Lore Seekers Guild that started with the Lore Seekers podcast 4 years ago now. It's crazy to think about the fact that the whole Lore Seekers Guild is rolling up on 5 years this next year.
Yeah.
But if you would like to apply and join us, they are on multiple platforms. We are the PS side of things. I almost said PS4, but it's not just that anymore. It's PlayStation side of things. You can apply at loreseekerseso.org. And there it'll just be a quick questionnaire, really quick, basically just to make sure that you're not somebody who's coming in to try and, mess with the community or be mean or anything along those lines. So it's a filter.
Don't be
of
a
sorts.
duty head.
Yeah, it's a filter of sorts for that.
That's the official term for it.
We've had great people in the community for so many years. So, but you can join us on any platform. Pretty much, we have PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and there are NA and EU. I think for the most part, for almost all those platforms. I'm not too sure about Xbox EU. We do have a PlayStation EU guild, which is, I would say, semi-active. There are new people that have gotten on there lately, but it's kind of like the state that we're in right now on NA, where we're looking for event leads and things like that to help us out. So if you're interested in running an event, have an idea for an event, anything like that, feel free to join us and talk with one of us.
And I feel like there's one more way people can reach us.
There is, but Sasquatch, so I was leaving it for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually, there might be two. I don't remember if we got the other one or not.
There's two.
Yeah, you can cover both of those.
So, yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Snugpod Cast, and then also, if you want to send us an email, if you have ideas for the show or want to give us your feedback, you can reach us at snugpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Yep. If you and you can send us if you've got a snug pod that you've decorated, you can tag us with those photos and or screenshots or whatever, and maybe one day we'll come do an episode in your place. You have to make it look real nice for us though, because I mean we've got Abner and we're royalty now, so
We're pretty spoiled. Gwen's done a great job in here.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in the guild or can find, if you're on PlayStation, you can look Gwen the Bard up and check out her place. And
She updates it about every 2 weeks.
Yeah. She tries to keep some of the stuff in theme with what's going on in game, what we're talking about, and she's done a great job with it. And we miss her this week, but such as schedules in real life.
We definitely needed a healer, though. Man, we're all falling apart.
Well, some of us have a 30-day moratorium on. Did I say that word right? I think I did.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. It's been fun, and thanks for hanging out. And we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.